You're tuned in to the Restaurant RockStars Podcast. Powerful ideas to rock your restaurant. Here's your host, Roger Bodwin.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Restaurant RockStars Podcast. You know, technology keeps moving forward, and every day there seems to be new technology that'll help you run a stronger, more profitable restaurant. So we're really excited to bring you this information so that you can make an informed decision. Today, I'm speaking with Mr. Chip O'Connell. He's the Director of Customer Success for a point-of-sale system that's built specifically for restaurants. It's called CAKE by Sysco, and they specialize in platforms for both full-serve and quick-serve restaurants. I'm really impressed with CAKE for a number of reasons. One, I'm back in the restaurant business. After not owning restaurants for 5 years, last week I purchased another restaurant, and it comes with CAKE by Sysco's point of sale. I've had a chance in the last couple of days to get in and dig around and play with it and see what it does. And it's pretty amazing for a number of reasons. One, it's cloud-based, so you never lose contact. I actually get a daily sales report in my email inbox that keeps me in the loop, whether I'm traveling or where I'm at, which is really cool. And a couple of other features we're going to talk in detail about. They have an online ordering system as well as a guest management feature. So stay tuned to this episode and see all the ins and outs of how CAKE can help you run a stronger enterprise. It's a piece of cake, so listen on. You know, there are 1,000 details to run a restaurant, and it pays to let the pros handle the critical elements of your business. When I ran restaurants, having a specialized payroll company was absolutely essential, and it gave me peace of mind. Well, thanks to Square Payroll, your restaurant can focus on taking care of business without worrying about all the fine details of payroll. With just a few clicks, you can pay W-2 employees and contractors. You can seamlessly import time data without ever adding hours manually. Yes, Square even has an app for that. They can even calculate and pay credit card tips. Square handles all payroll withholding, payments, and filing at no additional cost. Best of all, pricing is fair and flexible and scales with your business. It's just $29 per month plus $5 per month per employee. Benefits like health insurance, 401k, workers' comp, and pre-tax spending are also available. Go to square.com/go/rockstar and get 3 free months of Square Payroll. Again, get 3 free months of Square Payroll at square.com/go/rockstar. Check it out. Now, on with the episode. Welcome back, everyone, to the Restaurant RockStars Podcast. As you know, I try to feature engaging topics that help restaurants build their brands, rock their profits, and deliver amazing guest service experiences. Well, today's guest is going to help us do all of those things. I am really pleased to have Mr. Chip O'Connell, and he is the Director of Customer Success. I love that title, by the way, Chip. The Director of Customer Success for a point-of-sale CAKE by Sysco. Welcome to the show, Chip. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking, Roger. Thanks for having me on.
Well, this is going to be a really exciting episode. Interestingly enough, and I guess it's late enough in the process that I can announce this, but after being in the business for 25 years, owning multiple restaurants and then selling those restaurants and being out of it for 5 years, I am now in the midst of due diligence on purchasing a potential restaurant for sale. And interestingly enough, the restaurant does now use the CAKE system. And I've been really impressed by what I've seen so far. Of course, I need to learn the system in and out. And today we're going to talk about a lot of that. But before we do, Chip, tell us about any hospitality background that you've had. Have you worked in restaurants before? You know, what's your backstory?
Yeah, so I got my start in the restaurant industry, restaurant business, right out of high school. I was going to school and I was looking to pay for college, and restaurants were an easy way to do that. So I worked at a country club as a server and a bartender, moved on to other restaurants, really kind of working all the way through my graduate school years in North Carolina. And I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun for me. I loved the hours, and I hated the hours at the same time. But what was great was just the camaraderie and the fast-paced dynamic environment, which I really enjoyed. And so as I finished up school and I had to think about doing something a little bit more, career-wise, I kind of got out of that space. But luckily enough, I got a phone call from an HR representative of a startup company in early 2000 who said, "Hey, we're starting this company that's going to allow diners to make reservations online. There's nothing like that. We felt that was the next logical step with regards to airlines and hotels. And, would you be interested in talking more about this opportunity?" And I said, "Sure. What's the name of the company?" And they said, "Open Table." And so luckily enough, I was able to get in fairly early with Open Table. I, through challenges of the early .com bust, the first one that happened in 2000, I hung around for a year, left, but came back and was with the company for over 10 years and working within field operations and then within customer success, ultimately managing and working with a territory in the Southwest U.S., sales and account management. And so just working my way up and being part of that organization for such a long time was an amazing experience. It was great because it allowed me to stay in the business and in restaurants that I really enjoy and love, getting to know the folks, the players, learning about all the new openings, but more importantly, helping them and guiding them within the restaurant business. I felt like I got to a point where I was ready to move on, and so I left Open Table, and then fortunately enough was able to land with CAKE about 3 years ago.
So that's a tremendous background. You've worked in multiple restaurants. TGI Fridays obviously was one of my favorite places back in the day when I was in graduate school as well. Right. But Open Table, probably the first name that comes to mind when you're talking about reservation systems and that sort of thing, which is really great experience for, this next juncture in your career, you might say. So why don't we talk about... before we really talk about CAKE, which I want to do, Chip, I'd really like you to sort of put your restaurant owner, general manager hat on. If we could go back in the day and picture yourself about to open either a first restaurant, one, or you've been in the business a while, you've had a system, lots of them have different ups and downs and pitfalls, and technology keeps moving forward every day. These systems keep improving all the time, and it's time for an upgrade. What would you be looking for in both of those instances?
So starting out at a very high level, I'm looking for something that's going to help me connect with my diners. I think that with regards to solutions that are out there today, they're better than ever. And so you're looking for a way, which system is going to allow me to connect with the people that are coming to our restaurant, in addition to which system is going to allow me to connect to the people that maybe haven't visited me and let them know who I am. So I want to, obviously connect with the people that are coming in, reach the people that have not come in, and then ultimately when they get in my restaurant, how do I retain them? How do I keep them coming back? So figuring out, what is the best way to drive customer loyalty. Also in a big picture level with regards to systems that are out there today, data is huge. There is so much data out there. There's so much data to consume. How do you consume it in a way that makes sense for your restaurant? Because it's just a ton of stuff. So how do you parse through all the data that's out there and find what's relevant for your business, for your restaurant, and give you the insights you need to help grow what you're doing? And then also, what are the trends? What are the things that are currently happening today? Mobile is very big. Being able to pay with your phone or from my understanding, I think I read a study that said that in 2025, most transactions will be cashless. So how do I provide that experience to my diners so that it's not just a great experience and they feel special, but it's easy, it's efficient, and there's really there's nothing that actually stops them from, creates barriers for them coming back.
That's a great answer. One thing that comes to mind that you mentioned, I was at an airport, and I forget which one it is because I travel fairly frequently, but everything in, this particular terminal, all the food and beverage outlets had self-serve kiosks. And then they had just a food runner that delivered whatever you ordered. So obviously you get in front of this thing and you're scrolling through it, and there's lots of options and drinks and food and all that sort of thing. And it was efficient, and I could see why it's necessary in an airport. But do you see that trend happening in restaurants as well more and more? Because what I'm getting at is, technology is great,
when it works, and we all rely on it. And sometimes, it can be a blessing and a curse in some instances, but you really don't want to lose the human touch, that element of human interaction that makes a dining experience truly great. But I'm understanding from you that there's something about the technology that enhances the personal touch through loyalty and through data and through knowing the customer. And all these things are kind of important. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is it going too fast, too far, or do you think that the human element will always be there and it'll never be replaced by technology?
Absolutely. I don't think there's a way you can get rid of that human element at all. I don't think that, given all the advances in technologies you mentioned, you're going to have that. You've got to provide that personal service that, unfortunately, a computer system is just not going to provide. Specifically speaking to your comment about the kiosks at the table, I do think that is something that's going to be more prevalent as we move forward. The great thing about those kiosks is that it gives the restaurant the freedom to physically interact with their customers wherever they are. And in addition, these kiosks are a fairly low price point. So without having to outfit a bunch of different point of sale terminals around your restaurant, you can have these kiosks at a fraction of the cost. And in addition to provide that extra level of service, that touch that that they will provide. So I do believe that the human element will always be prevalent. In fact, I think it's more important now than ever, because I do think that sometimes people can get caught up in the technology and depend too heavily on it, and lose that. And the diners are looking for that speed of service, efficiency, but they've got to have that human element, that level of service, that interaction, that feeling special about, I am a diner and I'm coming into your restaurant to have an experience. It's not about, spending money, buying food and drinks. It's about having an experience. And how can I enhance that experience for my diners?
Absolutely. So this technology, obviously, as it moves forward, sort of lowers the prices to the hardware and the actual product itself. If we went back 10 years in time, when I guess I last purchased a point of sale system, it was fairly expensive. We spent something like $20,000 plus on this system, and then we still had to pay, an additional couple thousand on a maintenance contract and all this other stuff. It wasn't cloud-based, of course. That came much later. And, you'd have a battery backup on this system that would give you maybe 20 minutes, and you'd have to scramble around with your plan B to make sure that you've got your system in order before the whole thing went down, Right. I can remember numerous nights, over a 20-year plus career in running these restaurants where you are so over-reliant on that system that on a busy Saturday night at 7:30, if the thing crashes, you're in a real world of pain, and your customers come first, of course, and they don't understand what's going on. But, that was a long time ago. Things have changed so much now. And so, the CAKE system is cloud-based, I understand. So if the internet goes down, no big deal, business as usual, right?
Right. The system itself can operate offline for a period of time, so that from the diner's perspective, it looks no different. And for the restaurateurs, the folks in the restaurant, they can obviously still continue to run the system as they would normally. And there are different features within the software that allows them to kind of capture the transactions and hold on to them until they're able to restore or get that internet connection back up and running. And then to your point with cloud, and I'm glad you brought up cloud, because cloud has obviously become very prevalent nowadays. The great thing about the cloud, and you touched on this was your earlier response, is that the cloud provides more efficiency. It also lowers the cost. What's great about these cloud systems is that from a support and an upkeep, maintenance, and an upgrade standpoint, it is vastly less expensive to do those things. And you could do them in a fraction of the time. Whereas if you have all these independent systems kind of plugged into restaurants all around a particular territory or state or country or whatever, and you got to go at them one at a time to upgrade them, support them, service them, which just is not very efficient. The cloud allows us to be more efficient with the service and support for our customers.
So you have standard traditional terminals as well as a choice of handheld devices as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we offer the both options because as we talked about earlier, the table side option and the mobile option, being able to interact with our customers. But a lot of times we use it for based on the setup of the restaurant. For example, patio restaurants that are seasonal, they would like to obviously not necessarily want to have a full size terminal. Plus, obviously from weather and inclement weather, and you don't want to have a system out there in the rain. You have this mobile option allows the servers to walk around and serve their guests directly at the table, place their order, even take payment for that matter, so that it's all right there and it's easy for the customer to see what's going on. And also it's a lot more efficient because there's not this running back and forth that the server has to do to obviously serve them by utilizing the point of sale.
Very good. So, different solutions for different customers. I mean, I understand that the system is customizable to the customer. Can you explain how that works or what types of things you can do for different types of restaurants?
Sure. So we classify our restaurants in different, there's different terminology. You'll hear quick serve restaurant, your whole full serve restaurant. And then there's a lot of restaurants that kind of, that blend within the two big groups. There's obviously, there's fast casual. And so all of those different types of restaurants have different needs, specifically from an operational standpoint of how they want to run. So, for example, a full-serve restaurant with a bar, if you think about some of your higher-end places like a Capitol Grill or Ruth's Chris or something like that, where they got a really nice bar and a lot of people go in and have a drink before they go have dinner, they'll come to the bar and the bar will have a specific need for their point-of-sale system. And then in the restaurant, they're going to have a little bit of a different need. So you can customize the system not just to the restaurant, but also a little bit to each particular terminal where it's located in the restaurant, so that you can provide that efficiency. You can satisfy the needs of those particular areas within the restaurant, so that the customers, it's a seamless experience, which is what you're looking for, but
right.
Ultimately an efficient experience.
Chip, let me ask you, how does CAKE help restaurants turn its tables faster?
Well, there's a couple of different ways we can do that, which really, if you think about, don't exactly have a direct impact on that particular item, but it's how you set up the point of sale system that can allow you to be more efficient with your tables. So how you configure the menu and how you have your menu set up within the CAKE point of sale system can have an impact on how quickly you place your orders, how quickly certain orders or items are listed in your menu so that you can capture them quickly. In addition to that, we talked a little bit about the mobile option with regards to being able to have that table side service. Having that's going to be a much more efficient experience. It's going to save a little bit of time placing orders, running checks, things like that you're going to be able to provide that experience. Also, and another aspect with regards to how you can provide efficiency is, with regards to staffing. Staffing is a big thing with restaurants. Obviously, one
Definitely.
of the highest costs within restaurants is staffing. And so if you can identify certain, times of the day and when exactly you're going to have your maximum need for employees, you can provide that efficient experience, but make sure you have enough staff on hand to serve the guests that you have at any particular point in time of the day. The CAKE system will be able to provide you that information, those insights, so that you can determine exactly when are those hot spots and when you need to have staff ready for those busy times.
I also understand that, lots of different restaurants have different spaces all over the restaurant. And obviously you want to be able to manage your guests through the system and, see the tables and all that sort of thing. Are there multiple windows with CAKE? I mean, let's just say you've got a private party room, and then you've got a main dining room, and then you've got a patio, and you've got outdoor seating and all these different areas. I mean, it's easy to work, right? I mean, this is something that restaurants deal with all the time. But in terms of the technology, when you're a host and you're just trying to play air traffic controller, what are you seeing on the CAKE interface when you have multiple rooms?
Right. So from the CAKE side, the point of sale side of things, obviously you can configure the system to display your room and table configuration of however you have it set up. One thing, a product that we provide, which is a separate add-on from our point of sale system, is called Guest Manager. Guest Manager is our front of the house system that allows the restaurants to manage the shift, if you will, be able to take them from beginning to end, taking their diners from the table from the front to the table and making sure that they have the experience there. So we can actually configure those tables and rooms based on the restaurant layout and be able to provide that connection so that we can determine, which tables are available, which ones aren't, be able to set up and build a wait list, provide wait times that are efficient and optimized based on what's going on in the restaurant with regards to the dining experience, so that you can tie in the different stages of the meal, courses, if you will, so that if they're on their appetizer, their entree, dessert, you can actually manage that through this guest manager application. And the host or hostess can have those insights, have that information, be able to make those decisions to determine exactly when a table is going to become available so they can seat that guest, and try to keep the wait down as minimal as possible. You're never going to reduce your wait overall because everyone wants to come in and have dinner at 7 o'clock.
Of course.
But if you can provide those efficiencies and those insights so that everyone in the restaurant knows what's going on with each table, it's going to provide an optimal experience.
Now I'm really intrigued because you started talking about Guest Manager, which is a great feature. But I think I saw in the system that you have a waitlist management feature that allows a customer to actually assign themselves a table at a certain time, provided it's available. Am I correct in that?
So it's not the exact table, but they can obviously put themselves on a wait. So we have an – I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, okay. They can put themselves on the wait list.
Correct.
Okay.
So a diner can call in, with our guest manager application. An employee at the restaurant can put them on a wait. Enter in their information. They can also, we have an integration with Google that allows people to go through Google and actually put themselves on the wait through there. We also have built a reservation module within Google as well, so that you can actually make a reservation through a search through Google to the restaurant, at a particular date and time if there's availability. They can't select the exact table they want, but they can obviously put in some notes and information, putting in a request saying that they want a particular table on the patio or in the bar or wherever it is that they want to sit. And then obviously the staff at the restaurant will do their best to accommodate the request.
And this feature has a pretty high guest count increase percentage, doesn't it?
As far as when you say guest count increase,
well, the efficiencies we're talking about here are increasing guest counts in the restaurant just simply by virtue of the way Cake works, I understand.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can tie those two pieces in, the Cake point of sale, the back end, to the guest manager front end, and combine those two systems, it's going to allow you to literally take a diner, a table from beginning to end, and everybody is going to know where they are within the course of that meal, literally. So that, if we can shave, 5 minutes or 10 minutes off a particular, wait time. Okay. If we can bring in, if you think about just the dollars and cents of it all, if you can seat one more four-top every night,
right,
and you take that over the course of a week, a month, a year, the revenue impact is substantial. And so all you have to do is look at those little things. And if you can take that and add another four-top here or two-top here, it adds up. And so that's what's great about Guest Manager and Cake Point of Sale working together, is that, everyone has an insight of where the diner is, where that party is. And so that we can actually continue to run the restaurant, turning those tables as efficiently as possible so that we can get that extra four-top or two-top in.
Okay. Now, I understand payment processing is integrated as well. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So credit card payment processing is a very it's a subject that generates a lot of I want to say emotion, but it generates a lot of chatter. Credit card processing is really it's a significant component to running a restaurant, as you well know. It's also it can have a cost to it, and that cost can really have an impact with restaurateurs, whether they're going to be profitable or not. We offer a very simple solution with our credit card processing. We have a product called Cake Payments that is available to all of our customers. that they can sign up for. Now, the great thing about this is that if you know, when you sign up, it's a straight flat fee. No matter what kind of credit card you take, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, it's always going to be 2.5% plus a 10-cent swipe fee. So the great thing about that is that the restaurants, our customers can plan on it, know exactly ahead of time what their credit card processing costs are going to be at the end of the day, the week, the month, which is, you know, it's great from a planning perspective and a forecasting perspective, because there's a lot of other processors out there that, you know, there's a number of different fees. There's an interchange fee and there's a transactional fee and all these different things, and they vary based on the type of credit card. So you have no idea what you're going to get at the end until the end of the month when you get your statement. But with ours, it's very simple. It's basic. There's not a lot to it, which is what we want. We want it to be simple. We want it to be easy. And because it's integrated within our point of sale system, you know, you have access to mountains of reports and data that you can pull based on credit card sales, you know, what types of transactions, how often transactions are coming in. It is all baked into the CAKE point of sale and all the reporting back end that you have access to.
Yeah, the transparency piece is super important. I remember back when, you know, I put my restaurant owner hat on again 5-6 years ago, and the reports that you would get from your processor could be really onerous, and you couldn't really make any sense of them. You know, you're talking about the interchange fees. We're also talking about different fees if the mag stripe is compromised on the card, and now suddenly you got to manually key in the number. I mean, there's a million ways that you could be charged extra money based on, you know, the different cards and all that kind of stuff. So right. I love the transparency piece and I love the simplicity piece, because let's face it, restaurant owners and managers have 1,000 details to deal with, and they don't need to be worried about something like that if you can just make everything about their life simpler. You know, they're going to be happier, the staff's going to be happier, and then ultimately the customers are going to be happier. So right. That's fantastic. Tell us about the onboarding process, because again, if memory serves, it was really challenging back then to have your menu, no matter how extensive or complex it was, to be programmed and classified correctly into the system so that you could break out different categories. And then there's the whole modifier piece. So what's that onboarding like now today with a new system like CAKE?
Absolutely. So the great thing about CAKE is that we offer a lot of, you know, self-help tools that allow the restaurateurs, if they want to learn and do it themselves, they're more than able to do that. And we provide them with the, you know, the documentation and the knowledge base in order to do that. In addition to that, we also have a team of menu specialists that will also do the work for restaurateurs for a fee. So that, you know, if you have a fairly complex menu, such as like a Mexican restaurant, which has really complex menus, diners, pizza restaurants are a completely separate group, but they, you know, the complexity of modifiers, which you touched on, is it can really kind of, you know, set the difference between an easy menu versus a very challenging menu. You know, whichever it is, you know, you're going to have the tools to do it yourself if you want to. But again, like I said, you can obviously work with us. We have a team that does this day in and day out, and they can set your menu up for you. And also we offer services to do refreshes and seasonal menus, so that, you know, as your restaurant, as you're kind of moving along in time, and you choose that you want to have, you know, different items, or you want to offer, you know, a seasonal menu, you can do that. Now, the great thing about that is we have this knowledge base. It's always accessible to all of our customers, so that if they have a question on a particular menu subject, they can go to that and get that information. We obviously have a support team that's available 24/7 that can answer questions. And then each restaurant, each CAKE customer is assigned a customer success specialist, so which is part of my team. And my team of customer success managers work with our restaurants and provide them with guidance, information, and help them with regards to kind of managing the CAKE system within the restaurant.
So now we're talking a little bit about training and CAKE University. What's that all about?
So training obviously is very important. It is absolutely critical. It's like anything else. If you don't know how to use the system, then it becomes a very expensive paperweight. So we obviously, as part of the onboarding process, you know, we obviously want to make sure that our restaurant customers have everything they need to kind of go out into the world and run with CAKE. So it's very important to us that, we are able to touch all of our, brand new customers within the onboarding process and provide them or give them the opportunity for training within the CAKE point of sale system. Now, what's interesting is we do have a lot of repeat customers and a lot of folks that have used CAKE before. And so those folks typically will opt out of any kind of training. But for folks that have never used CAKE before, we have training specialists that can work with these restaurants, help them understand how to use the point of sale system, how to, operationally run it from day to day, and then provide a little bit more guidance with regards to manager features on reporting and other things that are more of your manager type of functionality. We offer, training as part of the onboarding. If restaurants want additional training, we can obviously work with that. Our training, everything that we do right now is completely virtual. So we work with restaurants through a connection like this and working with their team on how to use the system. We can obviously provide on-site services for a fee as well. But most of our restaurants are, the virtual model works really well. And what I think is incredibly telling with our product, and when I go out in the field and meet with our customers and I ask them questions about, what do you like about CAKE? What are things that CAKE could be better at? Almost to a person, every single person that I speak with says CAKE is unbelievably easy to use. And that's one of the things that we take great pride in. Staffing a restaurant is no small feat, and obviously finding people that can do the job, provide great customer service. These are all things you're looking for. The last thing you need is somebody who needs a doctorate on how to use a point of sale system. So we take a lot of pride in our point of sale's ease of use, combined with the training on the front end. We feel that we really set our customers up for success.
Now, we worked with Sysco for many years in my restaurants as well. Is CAKE sort of sold and, so it's sold through the field force as well? The account managers, can they sign up a new client to be with the CAKE system, and that's where the customer success team takes over? Is that how it works?
It is. So the way the customer life cycle, if you kind of think of it from like a timeline standpoint from beginning to end, they come in through our sales team. And so we actually have a dedicated sales team that specifically focuses on our CAKE products, CAKE point of sale, CAKE guest manager. And so they work with restaurants. We obviously work very closely with Sysco and the local operating centers within their customer bases and making sure that, we're able to touch folks that, have expressed interest and, we want to get in front of them. So it goes through sales into onboarding. And then once they've completed onboarding, the system is installed, the menu is in place, the staff has been trained. They're kind of pushed out of the nest and into the wild, and then they come into our team, which is customer success. Now, what we do is, there's a lot of different ways you can kind of talk about what customer success is. We want to make sure that all of our restaurant customers see the value of the system so that what they're paying for, they get out of it. And so my team's job is to work with these folks, understand their goals and objectives, making sure that, we can align what CAKE has to offer to what they're trying to accomplish. Now, whether it's, increased revenue or market share or whatever restaurants are looking to accomplish, my team of customer success managers is there to help them achieve that. Okay. And so we work with these customers. We provide guidance. Quite frankly, we provide a lot of advice. We provide, quasi-consultative services because we are not only, knowledgeable about CAKE and our products, we're also, we work to be very knowledgeable of the restaurant industry as a whole so that we can share insights and trends and new things that we're seeing to our restaurant customers that would be of benefit to them. And then we manage that relationship literally on till the end.
Is there a typical timing of, from when you get the initial call for a new customer to when they're actually up and running with the system? Does that vary dramatically, or is it a rough, this will take, so many days or a week? What would you say to that?
Sure. Yeah, it can vary, and it really depends on what's going on in the restaurant level. As you know, restaurants, where restaurants are in their kind of evolution, whether they just signed a lease or have they broken ground or have they just taken over a space, have they hired their staff. So we really kind of work within the confines of where the restaurant is as far as, their status, if you will. If you take somebody who has used Cake before and you want to set them up, it can literally be done in a week. A lot of that has to do with obviously making sure they get the hardware.
Of course.
Part of that week is just shipping the hardware to them. But that knowledge of how Cake works obviously is a great benefit for folks that have never used Cake before. It could, like I said, it just depends on their menu. It depends on how complex it is. Depends on how much of their staff they have on hand. Getting people together for training sessions and making sure the menu looks right and making sure the systems are set up. Because there's some technical work that needs to happen that's on that is on the responsibility of the restaurant to do. So we really kind of have to work within where the restaurant is. But, from beginning to end, it's something that can be done within a week to two, if not, at minimum.
Perfect. Let's talk about the payroll function itself in any restaurant. And in terms of employees clocking in and out, is it just all done on any of the devices on a touch screen, whether it's a terminal or a handheld? You're simply using a number to clock in, or have things changed dramatically since I used to use systems?
Sure. So there is, you can do on both the point of sale system or even on the order pad device. You can use swipe cards, which is when back in my day when I used to work in restaurants, we had swipe cards to access the system and start putting in our orders and putting checks and things like that. You can still do that with Cake. You can also utilize an ID to get in and place your order and do that. So from a payroll standpoint, that's obviously important. Clocking in and clocking out can be done directly from Cake point of sale system. And then Cake can obviously build out reports and allow you to, see kind of, in whatever time period you're looking for, what is your payroll looking like? You can set up multiple user profiles for your staff. So for example, if you have an individual who happens to bartend every Friday night, but then they wait tables Monday through Thursday, you can create two different profiles for that same person so that you can obviously set them up. They may have a different pay rate. And so you can combine those things so that when you run your payroll, you're able to track, how many hours were they a bartender, how many hours were they a server, and manage all of that. So payroll is very important. We work really hard to ensure that our customers understand how to work these reports and how to read these reports so that they're able to identify what's going on, because as I said, payroll is a very big expense for restaurants.
For sure. And then you have full gift card and loyalty enhancements that are all part of the system as well. Stored rewards, I think they used to call it.
Correct. Yeah. So we do have a loyalty rewards program. It's something that we're working to continue to build up and make a little bit beefier. But it's something that we do, obviously, our customers have access to. The gift cards is something that we try to ensure that all of our customers know we have a gift card program and it's available to them through Cake. Gift cards is a big deal, and being able to provide that service and provide that to our customers is incredibly important because diners come. The great thing about what we do is we want to make sure that we provide the tools to the restaurant so that when their customers have a request or an ask, they can meet that request or ask. I'd like to purchase a gift card. Fantastic. I have that for you right here. So tell me how much do you want to make it in the amount for, et cetera. And then making sure the software has the tools to provide reporting so that restaurant management can see what kind of gift card sales they're generating, where who has gift cards, what are those balances, and then more importantly, when diners come in to use those gift cards, can we redeem them efficiently, just as if it were cash or some other tender method. We just want to make that experience as easy for both the diner and for the restaurant. So gift cards are a big deal. We really work very hard to make sure that our customers understand the gift card program, because we do feel very strongly that as just a basic marketing opportunity for restaurants, being able to provide gift cards is big and something that can be done easily. It can help you expand your reach, because a lot of times people will buy gift cards for friends and family or people that maybe have not gone to that particular restaurant. So now you're giving yourself an opportunity to reach potential diners that have never visited your establishment before.
It's a tremendous marketing tool, and everyone should take advantage of it. And not just for the holidays. Literally every day of the week, you should be selling gift cards and getting people to come back, enjoy what you're offering, and give them as gifts. So that's the whole point.
Yep.
Other reports that used to be important, I think we used to call it a product mix report that shows volume of sales and, what you charge for each item. And then you can do comparisons. And that was incredibly important. So I'm sure that technology still exists.
It does. And actually one thing that I didn't touch on, but I think it's important that I touch on now is we're in the midst of really updating, reskinning, but really providing more data with our current reporting setup. The way that our customers today access their reports is through a back-end merchant portal, and they're able to go through and literally 100 plus different reports that are available to them based on what it is they're trying to find out. This updated, what we call UA reports, allows, it's going to provide, it's going to be a much easier way to read the reports, and it's going to give us the opportunity to quickly add additional reporting features, additional reports, whereas our current method, it takes a little bit longer to do that. So this new updated report format is going to provide, it's going to allow us to service our customers a little faster with more robust reporting. And to your point about the particular example you mentioned, the reports, total sales, sales by day, sales by category, sales by item. These are all things that are incredibly important, as you know, for restaurants to get an idea of what are their big sellers and what are the things that they're not selling, so that they can make decisions. And maybe they change their menu up, maybe they reduce items, maybe they expand on an item that sells really well and kind of create a whole different type of item in their menu that could potentially tap into that popularity. So these things are absolutely available to our restaurants today, and then going forward in the future, they'll have even more robust reports to access as well.
Yeah, those were very important reports, as were, staff sales performance was really important to us as well, being able to compare, the service team as well as the bar staff and who's selling appetizers and desserts and off the menu specials and all these things, because that's, sales are the lifeblood of a restaurant. So you need to be able to track that as well.
Yep. You got to know who's bringing. You got to know. Who in your staff, as are really driving sales. I know when I worked in restaurants, we would have contests. Whoever sold the most appetizers in a particular shift, or if we had a special entree, who sold the most of that entree. Those are things that are great. Provide competition. It's a little fun. It's breaks up the monotony of just a regular shift in the restaurant. But there's an important strategy behind that, as you know, because you really want to get a handle on what are your diners looking for? What do they want when they come to your restaurant? And, ideally, these will provide you that information.
Now, you also have a demo on the website where you can actually watch Cake in action. So I would encourage people to go. I've got a special URL that I'm going to include in the show notes, but I'll tell you what it is now. It's trycake.com/Rockstar. And if you go to that URL, you could check out, the entire Cake system and how it works and all the features and benefits that we talked about. And I believe that this URL is also offering $750 off activation if you go to that URL. So once again, we'll include it in the show notes. It's been great having you on the show, Chip. Let me ask you, did we miss anything, or is there anything we didn't discuss that you'd like to bring up about Cake or the industry as a whole?
No, we touched on a little bit in the beginning. Like I said, I think it's important to understand, what is a restaurateur? What are you looking for in a point of sale system? We talked on that. Absolutely. I think, when you're looking for a partner, which is what, Cake, is looking to be, is we're looking to be a partner with all of our restaurants, because it's, our success is dependent upon their success. And so we're going to do everything we can to ensure that they have everything they need to be successful. And that's what we do. That's what I charge my team with. That's what every department within our organization is really looking to do. Because, again, we believe in our product. when I started with Open Table a long time ago, one of the things that I always remember is that, when I was presented with the idea, I was just like, I bought it. I was all in because I was like, you know what, this is going to take off. I'm not, a prophet, but obviously it worked out really well for Open Table. And, when I came on board with CAKE, I came on board and, I look for that in an organization, and CAKE has that. We want to be, this is going to be something that's going to take off and be an absolute benefit to the customers that we have. And we want to make sure that we get it out to the folks that don't have CAKE so they see, what's available to them and what we're working for them to do.
Well, it's been great having you on the show, Chip. Thank you so much. Director of Customer Success. Now running your restaurant can be a piece of cake. So check it out. trycake.com/rockstar. That was the Restaurant RockStars podcast. We thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode because there are so many different choices in point of sale. And if you're looking to upgrade your system or even purchase your first system, you really ought to check out CAKE. I've been really impressed with the features. As I mentioned, I just bought a restaurant and it has the CAKE system, and I really like what I see so far. So I'm glad you listened to this podcast. I wanted to let you know that we launched a brand new website recently at restaurantrockstars.com. In addition to the podcasts and the blogs and the other free resources that'll help you run a tighter restaurant operation, we have the Restaurant RockStars Academy. No matter what your challenges or your pain points, whether they be marketing related or service or staff training or even financials, we can teach you everything you need to know. There are multiple levels of membership depending again on what your needs are. So check out the Restaurant RockStars Academy only at restaurantrockstars.com. Also wanted you to know that every year I have a limited number of slots open where I personally coach restaurants one-on-one. For the fall coming up, I have a couple of openings, and if you have a challenge and you just need an expert in your corner to help you dial in your critical numbers or really zero in on effective marketing programs that deliver incredible ROI, or you want to build your dream team staff, I'm really big on server and front of house as well as back of house training. So if you really want to dial in your staff performance, build longevity, and create that dream team, then why don't you contact me, Roger, R-O-G-E-R, at restaurantrockstars.com. I also have a free 30-minute consultation where I'll just sit there and talk shop with you because I love doing that, and we could probably solve some of your challenges in the phone call. So check it out. If you like what you're hearing, please leave us a review on iTunes because it'll help other owners, managers, and operators also find us and run a stronger operation. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Restaurant RockStars Podcast. For lots of great resources, head over to restaurantrockstars.com. And while you're there, download a copy of the book, Rock Your Restaurant. It's a game changer. See you next time.